All right, let's get on to something exciting this Friday. It's Arts Alive Festival time again. So this year, the entire festival has gone digital and will be presented to a virtual audience for the first time. I think it's in about the 28-year history, but I'll find out a bit more about that now. Phetla, who is a South African ballerina, she's one of the artists performing at the festival. Kitty, very good evening to you. Thanks indeed for joining us. Great to see you. I mean, how crazy is this? So, I mean, how's this going to happen? This is all digital. You as artists, how have you had to adjust your performances in line with where we are, COVID-19?
Good evening, and thank you so much for having me on The Full View. Yeah, it's been quite a roller coaster, I must be honest, but we are just in full effect of excitement, you know what I mean? So in terms of preparation, you know, it's just usual rehearsals, but it's a different dynamic at this time around, you know, because it's such a beautiful privilege to be invited by the Arts Alive, you know, and to come through and perform and do a virtual performance, which, you know, is never been done, you know, in the 28th year celebration. And it's so amazing that I get to reconnect with Mshudulu Makatini as well, because we're performing a piece called Going Back to the Truth of Space. And it's quite interesting because, you know, I rehearse on my own and Mshudulu's all the way in East London. But then when we get together, we just create magic because of this, you know, the pandemic that we're under, you know, the circumstances are so different, you know, because one has to rehearse alone and you can't have too many people in the rehearsal studio, and also having to perform being recorded as well, you know, and so that performance can be put out as a live performance, but yet we have to pre-record it as well, which we are pre-recording it on Wednesday, so that eventually everybody can enjoy it. So, and having to respect, you know, the regulations of COVID-19, you know, we ultimately are performing to, you know, an empty theater. We're just going to have press there. So it's a different realm for us, you know, as artists and creatives to perform under circumstances. But it's very exciting. It's very exciting because I've been looking forward to going back to the stage. So yeah, it's a space that I've really, really missed a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely fascinating. And I mean, you have, I know a lot comes from, you know, the energy of having an audience, you know, and performing for this audience. When you don't see this audience, how do you like psych yourself up to be like, okay, Kitty, it's time to perform now. Let's raise the curtain, you know, because, you know, I must say, I mean, if I'm performing somewhere, you know, of course there's going to be a thrill out of the audience really appreciating what you're delivering.
You know, this time around, I actually think there's something very beautiful about it, not having a full view of an audience, because the piece, I don't want to call it a piece because it's a healing ritual with Mshudulu Makatini. So, you know, it's almost like making love to the open space through ritual, through bringing the ancestors to the space that we are in. Hence, we call it Going Back to the Truth of Space, because it's actually ultimately what we always worked around, you know, because this is all about healing, and we all need healing through this time. And for us, it's actually not a new space for Mshudulu and myself, because it's all about listening to the space, listening to the ancestors who are with us, you know, paying homage to them. So for us, it's a really, really beautiful experience that we actually, it's going to be more quiet. I know most of the time we get the energy from the audience, but this time around with this piece, it's a totally, totally different space. And we are very appreciative of that, because I think one can really appreciate what Going Back to the Truth of Space is all about.
And, you know, after you've said it, that actually makes a lot of sense. There's a lot of, you know, joy in serenity and that peacefulness. So I get where you're coming from. Let me bring in Vuyisile Mshudulu, who's the Director of Arts, Culture and Heritage at the City of Johannesburg. Vuyisile, thank you so much for joining us. I mean, this must have been something else, the logistics of trying to get all of this off the ground. Talk us a bit through how you're making all of this possible.
Thank you. Good evening to the viewers, and thank you for inviting us. Well, it's been a mammoth task, you know, but we are really motivated by the commitment as a city to make a difference in the creative industries. And for us, it was too important an economic injection not to make as a city, given what the struggles have been for the COVID-19 for the creative industries. We know that the economic activity has been disrupted. A lot of their, spiritual and even creative ways have also been affected. And this was just a way for us to help them rejuvenate, to reconnect, to their instinct of creating, works of art that continue to provide healing to the nation.
And I mean, I think let's get straight into it before we run out of time. I mean, what can everyone look forward to? I know that there's a session between, if I'm not mistaken, between 7 and 8 tomorrow. What does the program look like?
Well, tomorrow we have the Urban Clash that's going to be streaming live. So our viewers can expect quite a youthful lineup. But as you've been talking to Mshudulu and Kitty, we are planning also the Legends concert, which is going to be on the 2nd of October. And on the 11th, we have the Kaya Mahlangu Big Band. And this is really a way for us, to pay homage to, past legends like Babu Zim Ngwawana, who played with Mshudulu Makhathini for a long time and gave us the blessing and the legacy of Zimology, So those are just people that we want to still say we remember by giving them an opportunity to be remembered in the best way that they live their lives.
Yeah. Before I move to Kitty, Vuyisile, how are people, in case there are those who don't know how to log on, what should they do?
Well, we've got several social media platforms. Yeah. We've got the Atalive website that people can log on to for the live streaming. So it's atalive.joburg for our website, and it's Atalive Joburg on Facebook. So we always have live streamings. People should look out for that. And we have a presence on Twitter and Instagram as well for those that would like to see the updates as they are uploaded.
Yeah. So Kitty, you already gave us a snippet of what to expect from you, but just maybe a little bit more on what to expect if somebody is sitting there at home and thinking, hey, this is something that I need to catch.
This pays respect about who we are as South Africans and our heritage, and our ancestry is such a big part of our lives. And for me, as Kitty Phetla, the artist, it's about telling the story of Mshudulu Makhathini, who's such a great legend. I mean, him being a musician and a healer at the same time, I felt that, it was such a necessity to tell stories such as that, because not only is he genius in music, but he also has the ability to heal through music. And, bringing those two realms together, the classical, neoclassical, and contemporary, and music in one form into a ritual. I thought for me it's an important story to tell, because ultimately, I'm brought to this earth, to tell, proudly African stories. And this is my beginning of, bringing my heritage closer to me and telling the story. So going back to Truth of Space is basically paying homage to our ancestors and the ancestors that went through the spaces as we live in today, and through healing that we need, in these COVID times. I think it's such a necessity to see a piece such as Going Back to the Truth of Space, because being on stage with Mshudulu, it's such an amazing experience, because for me as the dancer, this ritual is just quite exquisite, I tell you, and it's something that people need to really see and enjoy, because I think we need to understand our ancestors in so many different ways, because there's a geographical sense of our ancestors, because they've traveled through time, and this is what we're paying homage to with Going Back to the Truth of Space, and I just can't wait for everyone to see it.
Oh, and we can't wait as well. Thank you so much indeed for joining us this evening. Of course, Vuyisile Mshudulu, who's the Director of Arts, Culture and Heritage at the City of Johannesburg, and Kitty Phetla, of course, who's a South African ballerina. She is one of the artists performing at the Arts Alive Festival, and of course, for the first time, and it's over 20 years history, for the first time, all of this is going to be done virtually. And while, of course, you won't have all of, the fans there, Kitty says there's a sense of serenity and calmness in performing under these tough conditions, as it were.